This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
Okay, so it is March 18th at 6:08 p.m. and we're calling to order the Housing Authority meeting for Southampton. And the first thing we always have is open time for the public, but there's no public here, so we're great. All of these members of the public I have coerced into being part of my committee. Ha ha! You were all once members of the public and now you're mine. And so now we have to approve the minutes from January. Would anyone like me to put them up on the screen?
Move approval.
But I do need an E at the, I am Ann with an E.
What did I do? Oh, I'm sorry. Got it.
It's it, both at the top and in the attendees, so.
I'll make sure that's right.
Okay.
My middle name is with an E, so I don't know. I have a problem with it, I guess. Got it.
Thank you.
All right. Here we go. And by the way, Anne, you may know that even if you weren't in attendance, you can still vote on the minutes. So we can get, if you want, although I guess we have a quorum without you, so you could abstain if you wanted.
You have a motion on the floor with the correction noted.
All right. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right. All in favor by voice vote. Last name and your vote. Simmons, aye.
Tilby, aye.
Bowman, aye.
Johnson, aye.
All right. Minutes are approved unanimously.
Have we heard from Chris at all?
That was my question.
So I was thinking about emailing him, but then I realized that I'm pretty sure he's on a 1-year term and it's going to expire in like 2 months. So maybe it just doesn't even matter. I'll double check, but it seems like I've never like personally witnessed this, but I've known it to happen in other committees where someone like really has good intentions and then they realize that they can't follow through and they're too embarrassed to say anything about it. So they just ghost. That's the vibe I'm getting from Chris. If you guys want, or if you guys just dying of curiosity, I could email him and be like, I guess what I'll do is I'll confirm whether it's a 1-year term and I'll reach out. But once people get to this phase, they rarely become regular attendees who are actually going to show up. So we may have the opportunity to get someone new on board this spring.
Okay.
The last I looked, Sierra, when I looked on, I didn't check it before this meeting, but next to my name, there was no term next to I have no idea how long I'm on for. Is it for a year, a 2-year, or a full year, 3-year?
I will find out. I believe there's only 1-year and 5-year terms, but I could be wrong. So
I don't
even terms for Sharon and Chris.
But I know with not completely full committees and boards, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to know who's what and where, but it's getting on the too late side for anyone to like pull papers for this spring, but we could always nominate someone at the town caucus. I am asking to be nominated at town caucus instead of pulling papers because I am lazy or let's call it busy, not lazy, or both.
It's not your priority.
Your free time is precious. Your free time is precious.
Thank you. You guys are so validating. But if you're at the town caucus, which I guess I should show up if I'm asking to be nominated, and I have Janet who's going to nominate me. If you're at the town caucus and you see a friend who looks like they need something to do, feel free to like nominate them onto this board once I confirm that Chris is going to be moving on. Okay, next on our agenda is status updates on our old business, I guess people might call it. So a couple of quick things from me. Zoning bylaws project, no status update yet. But I will say that I just went to the zoning themed session of the Housing Leadership Academy a couple weeks ago, and that was really interesting. I learned some relevant stuff. I learned more about like how to look at zoning bylaws and see where things can be changed. That was exciting. And I also got an outreach from someone else from Pioneer Valley Planning Commission who was like, I want to look into, I guess it's really not exactly zoning related, but it is the people who are supposed to be helping us with the zoning project. So they were like, we want to look into what it would take for Southampton and a couple other rural towns to become housing choice towns. As you may remember, Sharon, you wouldn't remember this, but I think Anne and Stephen, you were here when you were using so housing choice is a bunch of criteria set by the state that like designates you as a housing choice community. It means you're like very housing development friendly. And then it opens up these funding streams that you can't get otherwise. And so it's very hard for us to get on this because it's like 300 units or 5% increase or whatever in housing development. However, there's many, many criteria. And if we meet enough of the other ones, it's possible that we could get on. So they want to study with us basically what it would take and if it's feasible, like a feasibility study. So I was like, yeah, heck yeah, that would be cool if you guys want to do that.
And you said Pioneer Valley Planning Commission, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I haven't heard back from them about the zoning bylaws project, but I know that they are doing some like staff shuffling, and so I have a sense that maybe they are having to train someone new, but I'm not worried that they're going to drop the ball. And this isn't the most time sensitive thing. Obviously, the sooner we fix things, the better. But even if they take longer than the initial plan, which was like through the end of 2026, I wouldn't be mad. It would be fine, in my opinion. Any questions or comments on that topic? Okay. Next on the list of updates, Habitat for Humanity project at 354 College Highway. So I followed up with Scott to make sure that he had sent the, what was it called? Land development agreement to legal. And he hadn't, but he did when I followed up with him. So he sent it to them. And then I also saw that Megan from Habitat just reached back out to Scott and Bradley and was like, hey, do you guys want to meet about some of the details? So feels like things are moving forward. I think I did mention to you guys already that they did do the award letter. So at least Habitat can move forward knowing that they've officially been awarded the thing. So that's good.
Good.
But still waiting on a little movement there. Questions on that? Comments?
Would you remind us, Sarah, do you expect Habitat will come back to the town for additional funding for this project?
I think that they will. I believe they're going to come to the CPC for additional funding. They talked to me about what they could put in the budget, and I forget what I told them. I told them that I think they had put $15,000 in their budget. They had done like a sample budget of how they would fund the project in their proposal. They put $15,000 of CPC funding, and I said, you guys could totally ask for 30. I'm not promising you'll get it, but CPC does projects much bigger than that all the time, and 30 wouldn't hurt us too bad. So I have a feeling they're going to come back and ask for 30 from the Community Preservation Committee.
Thank you.
Maybe they'll get it, maybe they won't. Also, I just want to tangent sidebar here. A lot of you guys were at the CPC hearing, and I am hearing news via my email now that people are talking about Tammy Lunas is thinking of trying to do a citizen petition to redirect the CPA funds from this year into other parts of the town budget.
Impossible.
Which is not legal. So Robert Floyd reached out to me and was like, that's not a thing they could do, right? And I said, no, even if you unadopt the CPA and make it not the law anymore, you still have to spend down all the money that they've gotten in CPA eligible stuff before you can close out the accounts. You can never take money out of CPA and use it for something else. You can stop collecting it, but you can't do that. So in case anyone asks, I just want to
Okay.
myth bust the idea, because if someone, and I wouldn't like shout out Tammy by name in the minutes. I don't want her to think like she is a complicated
don't
person who does all
do
sorts of
that.
interesting things in town, and I have no personal beef with her. But if she's going around drumming up interest in this, it'd be better if like she heard earlier on that this is not a possibility, rather than getting people all riled up and coming to the town meeting and then being shut down to find out that it's illegal after the fact. So if you want
She mentioned that she spoke last night, and right, Stephen, and she did ask that.
Yeah, and we tried to gently direct her to what is legal potentially, which would be reducing our
percentage
surcharge from 3% to 1%.
Mm-hmm.
And my research project I haven't completed. Do we have exemptions for elderly and low income?
Here's the thing. I was looking for that as well, and I couldn't find a CPA bylaw. The only bylaw we have about the CPA is the one that creates the CPA committee. But I couldn't find the thing that had the bylaw. So I was like, maybe we need to look at the warrant article from when it started. I know that there are several exemptions you can have at the state level that you're allowed to include, and they include like low income status. So I know that's allowable. But I don't
The
know.
law allows it, but you have to, it's a local option.
Right.
Adopt it in your unique way with whatever percentage and whatever exemptions or relief. And so, again, without being personal, the one who's gnawing on this bit is certainly not a lawyer and is prone to follow dead ends, shall I say, doggedly, even to the point of taking the town to court.
Oh boy.
So we best put her on a more productive path.
Yeah.
I mean,
If we don't have senior and low income exemptions, that would be an obvious thing to do.
What were we going to say, Sharon?
Doesn't matter. It's okay.
Okay.
I know there has been a lot of chatter about reducing the percentage from 3% to 1%.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I heard, but I was unaware of this tract.
Yeah, so the 3% to 1% is a totally legit thing they can do. It would suck because we get less money from the state, but it wouldn't be the end of the world, and I get it. But this other avenue is just straight up not a thing. Right. But my only helpful thing I can say to you, Stephen, is I already checked the bylaws and it's not in there. So start checking town warrants from back in the day, and it might have the details in there.
20 years ago, 25 years ago.
Yeah, that's
what I will look.
I can tell you when it was adopted in 2002. So I would look somewhere between 2000, maybe around 2001 is actually when the law came into place. And then 2002 is when we had the local surcharge. So I'd say that's when.
All righty.
Okay. All right. Let's get back on track. I just, tangent, not really housing authority related, but tangential. Okay. Affordable Housing Trust. So y'all met earlier this week. Stephen, how did that go? What's the latest for the Housing Authority from the Housing Trust? Care to share? Stephen, are you talking? Because you're on mute. Maybe he left us. Oh, there he is.
Was having trouble with my mouse. Okay, I'm here.
Any updates for the Housing Authority from the last Housing Trust?
No. Housing Trust.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you? Yes.
Yeah.
So the Housing Trust met this week, Monday, and we identified that Scott needs reminders to get things before town council for legal review, but we have drafted up the articles. What do you call it? Declaration of trust. So following the town meeting that allowed us to form this and the appointment of the trustees, next thing required by the law is to record the declaration of trust. We are the Affordable Housing Trust. And that gets recorded at the registry, and we become a quasi-governmental, quasi-charity. But the point being that we are publicly claiming that we're going to follow the law and all those restrictions on the CPA funding. And if it's not totally clear in the trust document, we intend to make it abundantly clear in our communications with the CPA committee, and generally go forward hand in hand with this housing authority. I mean, we really are in service to you all who have well-established authority. And so the other thing about the meeting, aside from we need to finalize and record the trust, is to apply to the CPA for funding. And with Sierra's help, or maybe Sierra's drafting, our chair, Matt, circulated the Sierra circulated, and our intention is to get our version back to Sierra by this Friday for Monday consideration at CPA.
And I already got a submission from Joy and Matt, but I didn't look at it yet, so I don't know how complete it is.
Great. They seem to have a lot of initiatives, so that was good.
Awesome. Were you guys able to come to sort of like consensus on sort of like the direction of the board in the next year or so in terms of like what to describe on the application?
Yes, we thought that the couple of obvious ideas that you provided as, starting point should be included. And then to say further that we hope to engage the community in hearing what the priorities are. I've been trying to stimulate that conversation among the trustees, but it's, if you've got the appetite for it, the budget, whatever, at least bandwidth, to somehow gather public input, have a public hearing or something, the way the CPA does. This is who we are. This is what we can do. This is what we can't do. But it's all brand new, and we'd like input from the community.
Okay.
So that's our commitment, and I think we'll pretty quickly winnow out avenues that are more productive with the kind of capital that we're working with.
Cool. All right. Well, that's great. And I look forward to checking out the application. And if it's edifying, I might even share it with all of you for your information so you can see what their plans are.
Well, and we're totally open to feedback. We want this especially to be comfortable for the housing authority, right? But for the trust, you guys have first claim on this bank account.
Awesome. Okay, well, that's a great update. It's lovely that is taking shape and moving things forward. Any questions on housing trust? Okay. Next on the updates is Zero College Highway Development. So we know that they had the presentation last month to the public, and there was some more drama on Facebook about it. But my understanding is that right now we're in the sort of like applying for one-stop funding, and sort of we're paused until we see what funding we have and until like sort of the budget has been worked out. Is that right?
We anticipate applying to both of the so-called one-stop programs, one focus on the environmental side, the other focus on community economic development.
Nice.
And anything else that we might be eligible for. And so that would include congressional earmarks. And both Chris and I were on a webinar today with Senator Markey's staff, and it was really helpful to me to infer why we haven't gotten support for the things we asked for in the recent past. Given that we've been passed over for recent years, I think we ought to get the staff out for a walk on the property and get going with some pre-development support. What does that mean? We have this conceptual plan. We know the program of uses and how much land they want and where they want to be relative to each other and the roadway, and et cetera. So we have that. We don't have a survey with topography and ready to go for engineering. So the first thing is take that next step, and that's a pretty modest contract. Step that follows that is designing a drainage system that meets all the green infrastructure, low impact development criteria, because we're going to have 5 or more different users and one set of infrastructure, at least in terms of roads and drainage. So the next chunk is a rather sophisticated and expensive flow calculation to make sure that we don't add any offsite runoff. And perhaps we want to do even better than that, infiltrating clean water on site. And obviously avoiding any further impacts to the farm, which has expressed that they've already suffered impacts from prior development. So, variety of funding sources, a sort of ladder of engineering activities that would get us ultimately to engineered plans for roadway and drainage that we put out to bid. But that's more than any one of these sources is likely to provide, and it's likely to take us at least 2 years to get to what I described. But it would include a recorded plan of land that would establish what's roadway and what we can put out for an RFP for housing, what we can put out for an RFP for commercial/mixed use.
And that plan of land also won't be done for another 2 years? I mean, that would be good if that's the case, because this town is not ready for it right now, I'll tell you that much.
Right. So if we, got all of these sources of funding excited and working forward, could we get permits in a year? No, we would not get stormwater drainage permits in a year.
Okay.
So it's probably in the 3rd year that we could be looking for another grant to support the paving and piping.
All right. So that gives us some time. Hopefully all the world's problems will have been solved by then. And it'll be super easy to convince people to do this because everyone will have their hearts in the magnanimous place of wanting to make their town affordable for everyone.
Well, and let me restate the obvious. The idea is to make sure that even if we're not able to afford what we want for a public safety building, much less a senior center from scratch, the idea is to enable these other uses to be able to go forward on their timeline without confounding anything about our commitments to our own hometown, that we have the preferred space for the public safety building and the senior center.
And we can't do anything without roads. It just I just was gobsmacked with that realization recently, and it's like, so okay, and that's
it's not the most fun part, but it's where you get to really commit.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's funding available for like concrete, literally and figuratively, things like that. But a point that my colleague Mark Cassis made was that maybe there are things we can use the property for in the interim, using field. I forget what his ideas were, but there was something putting in picnic tables in fields and, maybe I don't know, flooding it for an ice rink or just like using it for sort of passive recreation in the meantime so that we're not just like having it sit there and do nothing. And I would add that maybe that would start building some sort of like interest, not cachet, but like a sort of vibe there where it's like a place people expect to go. So that would be good too. So maybe we can do something like that.
You're here.
All right. Any questions about that? Okay. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about?
I have nothing. I'm sorry.
That's okay. This is great.
Sarah,
Yeah.
I'm trusting that when you do find the right, perhaps new staff person at PVPC,
Mm-hmm.
we'll plug in again in some way to learn about what's good and not good about our zoning.
Yes.
So that we might ideally propose some bylaw changes
Yeah.
that we would bring
Yeah.
forward, clearly not for this year's town meeting, but next year's town meeting. So the fact that there's a little staff gap now, you pointed out it might flap beyond the end of this year.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure that they can work on the project beyond the end of this year as a funding matter, but
yeah.
leave that aside.
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt our timeline because it's a annual town meeting 27, not this spring.
Yeah.
But it's important to say that that's where we want to end up so as to further affordable housing in town. Plus whatever else you came up with in terms of housing choice that might need to be done at town meeting rather than just fiat.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's good to have these sort of like these different projects going in parallel so that when you get a blow to one of your projects, you can be like, well, at least we still have the bylaws thing. So I think, for a lot of years, I feel like the housing authority had like sort of one project at a time, and it feels good to have multiple irons in the fire for
Right.
that reason. Okay, so I think we can schedule our next meeting, and I think we can give ourselves a couple months because we don't have anything pressing to check in about. So let me just grab my calendar. So let's give ourselves 2 months.
Which will put us post town meeting on May 2. I'm not sure when the election and the ballot questions will happen, but we're not directly affected. We're kind of adjacent.
Right. And we can always hold, whenever I was thinking that, but like even if we are before the elections, we can always hold our like officer elections in June or whenever our next meeting is after that.
For sure. We can deal with that.
All right. So I've got one calendar up. I'm going to get my other calendar up.
Wednesdays?
Is that what today is? Yes.
It is all day.
Today.
Yes, all day.
All day. Maybe May 13th?
I'll be in Ireland.
All right. Let's not do that. What
We're
about
so,
May?
we're so sorry.
That's okay. What about May 20th?
Looks good for me.
Me too.
Okay.
All right. 6 p.m.
Maybe the election is on the 19th, but I have that on my calendar. My calendar is known to be wrong at times. So,
All right. Well, whatever happens, we will be okay. So Friday 20th. No, sorry. Wednesday 20th, 6 p.m. SHA. Save. Okay. All right. Well, on that note, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I
So
move that
moved.
we adjourn.
All right. I hear it a second. And all in favor? Simmons, aye.
Aye.
Unanimous.
Aye.
Johnson, aye.
All right. Thank you guys
Will be.
so much. It's always
Aye.
great to see you, and I'll see you soon.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.